welcome back to Pure Lottie. So today's video I'm going to be using the Rawbeautykristi palette that's in collaboration with Pure. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you do, make sure you hit the thumbs up button down below, and if you're new, don't forget to subscribe and change notifications to all so you don't miss any of my future videos. Alright, let's jump in. So in today's video I'm going to do a few looks for you. So this one is from the bright side of the palette. As we all know, her palette comes with two sides. So you've got the bright side, which has a mirror, and then you have the neutral side, which also has a mirror, and most of the shadows are matte. There is two shimmer shades, one on each side, and I am absolutely in love with this palette. I've been playing with it for the last few days and I couldn't wait to get to the bright side, so today I decided to jump in and do this look. As you can see, very pink. We all know that I love the color pink, so I hope you enjoy this. So I'm going to add in some videos of the looks that I have created. I hope it inspires you to create some beautiful looks yourself, and if you've got this palette, I hope that you love it just as much as I do. So let's jump in. So to start off with, I'm jumping into an eye primer. I'm just using the MAC Paint Pot in Painterly, and then jumping straight into the palette, and I'm going on the neutral side and using the shade My Whole Heart, and I'm just placing that all over my lids. Next up, jumping into a Moo Point, and I'm just basting that in my crease and on the outer corner. Now jumping into You're Not My Real Dad, and just placing that on my outer corners. Jumping back into the shade My Whole Heart, just placing that on the front 2/3 of my eyelids, and then jumping into the shade Golden Ticket and just placing it on those 2/3 of my eyelids as well. And just here I wasn't getting enough of the foiled look that I wanted, so I jumped in and grabbed some setting spray, popped it on my brush, and then went back into Golden Ticket, and it turned out magnificent. So I jumped off camera and just did my base makeup, and now I'm jumping back into the shade Golden Ticket, and I'm just using that as a highlighter on my brow bones. Then grabbing Moo Point again, and I'm just using that on my lower lash line. Jumping over to the colourful side, I'm using the colour Lumos, which is the matte white, and just placing that on my inner corner. And over top of that, I'm using Cafe Disco, which is the shimmer shade on the colourful side, and again placing that in my inner corner. I then just used some white eyeliner and just popped that on my waterline just to open my eyes back up. And just finished off with some mascara and lash primer, just using the L'Oreal Paradise Lash Primer and Waterproof Mascara. And off camera I just applied lips, and this is the finished look for number 1 on the neutral side. Absolutely love this palette so far. So for look 2, I used the colourful side. So I started off with the P. Louise base primer, and I'm using the colour Rumor 0.5, and I'm just placing that all over my eyes and making sure to get on the inner corners and also underneath for the lower lash line. So to start, I'm using the shade It Just Does from the neutral side, and I'm just placing that in my crease and blending it out really nicely so then there's no rough edges and so that it's a light shade. So back to the colourful side, I'm grabbing the colour Side Effect, which is a hot matte pink, and I'm just starting off with a small amount and slowly building it up because these shades are very, very pigmented. It is much easier to build it up than to reduce the colour. So I'm just blending it all out nicely. And to get the darker hot pink areas, all I'm doing is just stamping that colour on. I then just cleaned up the edges with a wet wipe. Then using the shade Lumos, I'm just placing that on the very inner corners and just lightening the pink up a bit so then it sort of looks like a ombre effect and not just one colour. Then I just went in with my KVD Vegan Beauty tattoo liner and I just created a winged liner. Most of this was done off camera, so I apologise. I then went in with Pur X Rawbeautykristi's lashes in Can't Be Bothered. I just trimmed them down a little bit so they fit my eyes better, and they are absolutely stunning. I then jumped into the colour Hurtful, which is more of like a navy blue colour, and I just used that on my lower lash line and it just made this look tie together and look absolutely stunning. For inner corner highlight, I used the shade Cafe Disco, and I have absolutely fallen in love with this shimmer shade. It is beautiful over all the matte shades as well as a highlight. So I was really enjoying it. So I did actually use a little bit of setting spray again and just made it that metallic-y look on the inner corners. And I just brought the glitter out onto the first quarter of my eyelids as well. I also used Cafe Disco for my highlighter on my brow bones, and I did also pop this on my nose as well because the shade is absolutely stunning as a highlighter. Then just use my L'Oreal Paradise mascara just to neaten up my lashes, and then also on my lower lashes as my mascara. And this is the finished look. So I've absolutely fallen in love with this look, and I absolutely love this palette. For look 3, I jumped back to the neutral side and did another neutral look. So I'm just going in with my eye primer. I'm just using the P. Louise in 0.5 Roomer. So starting off with Moo Point, I'm just using this on my crease and just blending it out nicely as a base colour. Jumping over to You're Not My Real Dad, just placing that on my outer corners and just bringing it into my crease to give a smoky effect. Going up to Camelot, and I'm just using that on the inner 2/3 of my lid and just creating that nice burnt yellow look. Going down to Told You, I'm just using a smaller brush and I'm using this shade to actually blend out the edges of my eyeshadow, just so then there is no sharp edges and it looks smoother and more neat. Going into the shimmer shade on the neutral side, Golden Ticket, I'm just using my finger and just placing that on the middle, and I'm not putting too much because I don't want it to be overdone. I just want the center of my shadow to be nice and shimmery. So I just jumped off camera and did my base makeup. Now I'm jumping into the shade Camelot again, and I'm using that on my lower lash line. Going back into Golden Ticket, I'm just using my finger and placing that as my inner corner highlight, and then again on my brow bone. And for lashes, I didn't want to go over the top, so I just used my L'Oreal Paradise Lash Primer and then my Flower Beauty Warrior Princess Mascara. And that's the look for number 3, the neutral side of the palette again. And again, I am absolutely loving this palette. There is so many different looks I can create with this. Jumping back to the bright side, I'm doing look 4, so this is the second look on the bright side of the palette. Just starting off with my eye primer, the P. Louise base in Rumor 0.5. Just popping that all over my lids and making sure that I'm blending it all out. Starting off with the matte white shade Lumos, using that and just placing that all over my lid just as a base shade. Then going up to the colour Tribute, which is a beautiful deep purple, and I'm just starting off with small amount. As I said, these are very, very pigmented. You don't need loads, so it's easier to build it up than to try and reduce the colour. So I'm just blending it into my crease and on my outer corner, and when I want to deepen it up, I just use the packing motion with my brush just to deepen the colour. I then just used the brush that I used earlier for my eye primer and used whatever was left on the brush just to clean up the purple shade so that the next colour would sit nicely on there. So I went into Garden State, which is a beautiful greeny teal colour, and I'm just using that on my very inner of my lids and just bringing it into the crease. And again, I'm starting off with a very small amount and building it up. I then lightened it up a tad with the shade Lumos. I then combined the colour Garden State and Lumos together on my hand and just went over those same areas just to deepen it up with the packing motion. Going back into Lumos, I just used a circular brush and I just placed that on the center of my lids just to lighten the colour so the next shade that goes on top will stick out. I then used my setting spray again and wet the brush and just used the shimmer shade Cafe Disco and just placed it over where I put the white shade. I also then blended it in a little bit with my finger and the brush just so then it looked like as though it was seamless and not harsh lines. I then cleaned up the edges with a wet wipe again. And off camera I used my KVD Vegan Beauty tattoo liner and just created a wing liner. I then just coated my lashes with one coat of the L'Oreal Paradise mascara, and I then went into Rawbeautykristi and Pur's lovely lashes, and then went back into Tribute and used that for my lower lash line on the outer edges. And then use the Garden State and Lumos shades mixed together on the inner lower lash line. Then went back into my favourite shade of the palette, Cafe Disco, and used that for my inner corner highlight and on my brow bone again. And for lower lashes, I went in with my L'Oreal Paradise Lash Primer for the lengthening and volume. And then I just went in with the L'Oreal Paradise Mascara in black. And this is the finished look for look number 4, and again I think this has got to be one of my favourite looks I've ever done. So overall I really love this palette and I'm so excited to keep playing with it. If you want to see any more looks, then let me know down below. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure you hit the thumbs up button down below because it really helps me out. And if you're new, don't forget to join the family, hit that subscribe button and change notifications to all so you don't miss any of my future videos. And as always, thanks for watching guys. Bye!